I got my master's admission to the United States even before I wrote my final year first semester exam as an undergraduate student at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Yes, it is very possible. Hi guys, welcome to Real Talk with Sochi. And if you stay with me to the end of this video, you would understand the things that I put together that eventually landed me these awesome opportunities. Because I've been getting questions like, how did you do it? Is it even possible? Which organization sponsored your scholarship? How did you do it? Yes, in this video, we are going to dissect this journey together, you and I will see you right after the break. Before we start, or before we get started, I would like to say that, first of all, this is not a scholarship platform. You already know what we do on Real Talk with Sochi. Is about success, is about vulnerabilities, all about life challenges, right? We uncover meaningful solutions together. And today we're just going to talk about my success. Yes, I have a success to share with you all. So this is about my journey to the United States. The things that propelled me, the thing that come together to bring me, or that landed me this opportunity in the States. I would say that this journey started back then at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, my alma mater. It all started in 2020, I would say. Even before 2020, I already started doing something towards the journey, but I didn't know. Interestingly, I didn't know that the things I was doing as an undergraduate student at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, would eventually be a package for me, because I've been getting these questions. How did you do it? How are you funding yourself in the States? Which organization is paying your scholarship? Hey guys, no organization is paying my scholarship. I am fully funded by my department, the University of from University of Mississippi, right? So like I said, I would say that this journey started in 2020 officially, without me even knowing it, right? Sometimes when we do things that we don't even know that, we don't even know that this thing might have a benefit in future, right? That is why it's always important that whatever we do, wherever we find ourselves, we should always try and be the best, or do something that is rewarding, right? So in 2020, okay, let me start from 2029. In 2019, sorry, not 2029, 2019, I was in second year at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. So I had this lecturer of mine. He's a very disciplined lecturer. That's what I would say. He's not wicked. He's very disciplined, because here, being in this States right now, I'm able to differentiate between when the lecturer is wicked and when the lecturer is disciplined, right? So this is my lecturer in University of Nigeria, Nsukka. He is very disciplined, or he used to be a very disciplined lecturer while I was there. So because of that, his own course, the way he structured his course, is very different from how every other professor or every other lecturer handles theirs in the department. He would make us to come to class very early. He will make us to answer questions in class. He will make us to do presentations in class. His course is very rigorous, right? It's a rigorous training. But that time, I didn't know what this thing was all about. I didn't know that this thing was actually building me for a resilient future. So I would always, complain how this man makes me to wake up very early, because I needed to be in his class 7 a.m. Because trust me, when he is in the class before you, you are not entering that class, and you must meet 70% attendance before you write his exam. I hope he doesn't come for me, because he will be listening to this eventually. So as a second year student doing this course, or taking this course from this lecturer of mine, and because of how disciplined this lecturer was, or because of how rigorous his own course was structured, I vowed nothing will make me fail this course, for me to come back in this same class and meet this lecturer. Because as a student, I never wanted stress. I never wanted all these, extra things. I just wanted to come to class, take my courses and go home. But this other lecturer was bringing something different. He is unique, right? So I started reading that particular course with so much intentions, because I needed to write this exam and pass without coming back to this same class as a failure, to meet this man who is who is making things difficult. But they're not difficult. I didn't realize at that time. So I read his course so much. In fact, it felt like that was the only course I was doing in 2019 as a second year student, right? So eventually I wrote the exam and I made it. I passed the exam. I made an A actually. So, but what brought me together to this lecturer of mine, or what connected me to him, was the fact that he is a very different lecturer, like I already said. He is the kind of person that he would come to class to celebrate good students, right? Yes, I'm a good student like me now. He will come to class to celebrate good students. So after his results are out, he'll come to class and be like, these are the best students, these are their writing skills, learn from them, things like that, to encourage other students to also do better. So on that fateful day, he came to the class with the list of the best students who probably, of course, had performed better or had performed well in his class. And as he was mentioning those names, he called my name. Ha! I was like, my lecturer called my name because he's standard, right? He's a very advanced lecturer. And for him to call me to be one of the best students in just concluded exam, that means I'm going somewhere, guys. So it was after he called me as one of the students that succeeded in his exam, I began to realize, because that time I've already had my first year. At this point, I was in my second year, and trust me, my first year results were not that good. So this lecturer having called me at that point to say that I performed better, I began to ask myself this question. That means I can go to him for him to mentor me. I need this man to mentor me. If I really want to graduate from this school with the right amount of grade, or the grade, or the CGPA I desired, I need a mentorship from this young lecturer, because at that point he was still a graduate, a graduate assistant in my department. Yeah. So I was so afraid. I didn't know what to say, because I was one of those students that used to see him as a very wicked person. I didn't know what to say. But eventually, I reached out to him. I was like, sir, please, my name is Ochima Okafor. You called me as one of the students that performed well in your class. Please, sir, I need a help from you. Please, can you mentor me? I need to learn the act of writing. I want to be your friend. I want you to help me. He laughed. He laughed. I said, well, no problem. I'm willing to do that. But the thing is, are you ready to do what it takes? I said, yes, sir, that if I'm not ready, I will not come to you. We started. He said, let him tell me, newsflash, that he knows that very soon I'll stop answering his calls. Very soon, when I see him, I'll dodge, because by the time he will come with his rigorous training on me, I will disappear. So I said, no problem, sir. I'm very, very willing to do this with you, because looking at you, you are the kind of, you have what I'm looking for. So we started. I remember he would take me to Africana Studies department, Institute of Africana Studies at the University of Nigeria. He would take me there. He started teaching me how to read, how to write. I'll write, he will cancel. I'll write, he will cancel. I'll write, he will cancel. I've already spoken about my, when I struggle with imposter perfectionism, right? So I'll write, he cancel. I'll write, he will cancel. At a point, I stopped going to him. The same thing he said eventually happened. But then I kept on going. Later on, I kept on going, And being that at that point, it was as if I was having this conflict of ideas or conflict of career interest, because I'm a spotlight freak, right? I'm into modeling at that point. I'm also into pageantry. Everything about fashion makes me so happy. And fashion or media is what I would have wanted to go, or I still, and I'm doing it right now, right? So, and he's in academia. So he's most likely going to train people who want to follow that route. That was what I was thinking. Maybe that wasn't what it is. So there was this clash of ideas between what I need from him and what I'm doing, or what I find interesting. Because at that point, I just needed to know how to write so I can make A's in my courses. I wasn't even thinking of graduate school. I was in second year. I wasn't even thinking of US, right? Maybe I've desired US, but for me, it's when I finish school, get job, make money, then I'll be able to buy a plane ticket to visit America. So we started visiting this Africanist Institute. He got me a student library card. I started going there. We started going there together. And then something happened. I think it was around April 2020. There was a conference that came out, a call for a conference. And it was like, Sochima, you're going to apply for this conference. Write an abstract and send to me. Guys, I was shivering. It was my first time to write an abstract. But before then, he introduced me to his mentor, my mom, who now, she is my mom. She's everything I hold there, right? So he introduced me to her. And this mentor also was taking me in another course in second year. Apparently, both of them were actually handling the same course, but he was assisting this other woman or this other doctor in my department. So when he introduced me to her, that day I was dressed like a model. I walked into her office. She was like, "What are you doing here? Are you sure you want to do this? This one, that one, leave my office." I was terrified. I left. Matthias said, "That is my auntie for you. You need to come back. You need to know that you are serious." I went back to her and yes, I've mentioned his name. God. Yes, I was actually going to mention his name eventually, but I didn't plan for it to come out like this. So he said, "This is my auntie. She is my mentor. So if I'm going to mentor you, it's like a ladder, right? I learn from her, you learn from me, or you can even learn from her, at some point." So I persisted. I started going to this woman. I started going to both of them. I started writing cancellation. If you know who I'm talking about, you know that she doesn't waste time to tell you your wrongs when you write rubbish. Because in classroom, she's very lively. She teaches you very well. So that call for apps, eventually I told her what I wanted. She asked me, "But you want to be a model, you want to do this, how do we do this?" I say, "Mommy, I want to learn." So she did not just take me as a student at that point. She took me as a son. Probably she had examined or she had seen me, things I could do, maybe I was able to clear her doubts, right? So we started this journey in 2020 officially. So a call for paper for a conference came out. That was CBAC conference. I think Black Civilization or something for Africa. CBAC is an international conference, very big and renowned. So I was to write a paper or an abstract. I wrote an abstract. We all wrote an abstract, and I was accepted. My paper was accepted, and theirs were also accepted. So that was like the beginning of this journey officially. So, and CBAC was fully funded. I didn't pay a dime. We all went. My mom, this is my mentor, she got a taxi, she chartered the vehicle. We all went to CBAC together. And when I was in CBAC, it was my first academic conference. I didn't know what to expect, and it was at the peak of COVID. Okay, this CBAC was, I think it was between 20th of August to 24th of August. So CBAC, COVID, the lockdown already started relaxing, but it wasn't not fully relaxed. And at that point, I remember very well that we also on strike, academic strike. So school was not in section, right? But I had to stay back in Nsukka because I was learning the act of writing from these two people. But people don't know about this. So today I'm saying it. So we went to CBAC at Uniben. We were lodged. It was a 5-star hotel, guys. We were lodged at Edo Heritage Hotel. If you know that hotel, I had my room. Very expensive rooms, very expensive hotel, and it was a kind of a gathering or a consortium of scholars, erudites from different parts of the world. And in that CBAC, I would categorically say that I was not just the youngest by age, I was the youngest by qualification because I was just in second year. And this is me going to present in front of professors. I was shaking. Let me use that word. I was shaking. But my mentors encouraged me. They were like, "It's just how it started with us. So you have to do it. We are there to support you, to encourage you." So I think I wrote a paper on markets or something, which my mentor helped me to put together. So when it was time for me to present, guys, I don't know, Holy Spirit just engrossed me. I finished my presentations. The questions that were coming, my mentors were there to help me to answer the questions, but I got this, guys. I didn't know how it happened. I answered those questions, and the rapporteur, which we know as the chair of the panel, she said something. She said, "Who brought this young man here? Please, we don't want to lose or miss out on her in academics. He is good." Guys, you needed to see me that day. Like, my ego was massaged. And when we finished the conference, or when my presentation ended, my mentor hugged me. We were so happy. And that was it for the conference. And then after that conference, I began to imagine, if I could do this in this level, that means I can actually do it, growing. But I wasn't interested in academics at this point. It wasn't really what I wanted. It was me. I wanted to be in fashion. I wanted to be in film. I wanted to be in the media. But I didn't know that these things can come together. Even as an academia, I can still do them, which I'm doing right now. Thank God that I've been able to, I'm trying to carve out a niche for myself instill in what I need in academics, right? So this is why I'm saying, you see, information is very important. The right information is important. The people in your life matters, because in my case, God has really blessed me with the gift of men. So we came back from CBAC. Everything was just happening so fast. We started writing more. We started going for conferences in 2021. After 2022, 2021, I attended Historical Society of Nigeria, HSN. I presented the paper on Nollywood. After that, because film is what I'm interested in. After that one, I think in 2022, yes, in 2022, my mentors introduced me to Lagos Studies Association conference, one of the biggest conference in Africa. I wrote an abstract. It was accepted. Another of my mentor, yes, who at that point was already in the US, he came back. He paid for my flight ticket for me to be in LSA conference in Lagos in 2022. He paid for my flight. I flew to Lagos. He introduced me to Professor Sahid Aderinto, who is in charge of LSA, and I volunteered, right? And in the act of volunteerism, when I was at LSA, my volunteerism in LSA wasn't predetermined, because at that point they had already finished selecting their volunteers. So, but when my mentor who came from the US introduced me to Sahid, he told me that he told Sahid that Professor Sahid that this young man would want to volunteer. Actually, not one of my mentors, two. There are two of them that came from the US that time. One paid for my flight to US, another one came back because I was already working for him at that point as a research assistant. So he needed to introduce me to Professor Sahid, who also is his mentor. So these two people together helped me to introduce me to Professor Sahid. Of course, I already know about LSA from this other of my mentors from University of Nigeria, Nsukka. So when I eventually arrived in Lagos in 2022, I think around June, so they introduced me to Professor Sahid, and Professor Sahid was like, "Oh, you are more than welcome to volunteer, but we can't give you accommodation because we're already done with the process." I said, "No problem, Prof." So what I did, if you know K2, I was shuttling between K2, for people in Nigeria, I was shuttling between K2 to Unilag, to NSPRI in Yaba, which is like 5 minutes to Unilag. So every morning I wake up by 6 a.m. because my uncle stays in K2 Lagos. So every morning I wake up by 6 a.m. I'll take a transport, BRT or the red buses. I would take them to Unilag, to NSPRI as a volunteer. So I spent 5 days in Lagos, and of course I presented a paper on female deities, officiation of female deities, right? Female deities by males. Yeah, and that paper got positive feedback that helped me. So fast forward, LSA finished. I was trained. I got the little training I got from LSA in terms of Zoom conferencing technologies and everything. So I finished the conference, and of course, at this point, I was already introduced to Professor Sahid Aderinto. So it was when I was at LSA, I started seeing the minds that are there. Because 2022 LSA, I think it was it because of COVID? I don't know what was going on. I can't really remember what happened that made that conference not to be. Okay, because of the strike, yes. That was made the conference to be just online. People didn't come in person. But the volunteers, of course, the people who were working at the backstage, we were there together to put things together so that the people joining from the diaspora would have an amazing Zoom experience for the conference. So I began to see people from different parts of the country, graduate students from US, UK, Switzerland. When these people speak, the things that come from their mind, the intellectual capacity, and of course from my mentors too, who were there with me, I began to imagine, how do I do this to be like these people? How do I get myself to be like these people, right? So it was at that point, it was that conference that started shaping the way I think. It started shaping the way, what I want for myself. Do I really want to model? Nobody says you can't be a scholar and still wear good outfits, right? So LSA ended in 2022. I already established my contact with some professors that I met, in as much as it was online. Some people still made it, people that came for writing retreat. Some people still made it for workshop. Some people still made it to the conference in person. So I was able to communicate or to get connected to these people. I met Professor Matthew Brown. I met Professor Adeliyi. Sorry, I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation. I think she's in one of the schools, in one of the Ivy Leagues, right? I met Professor Sahid, of course, and I was introduced to so many other scholars that were there present. And of course, that conference gifted me so many other people who today, currently, they are part of my success. So At the end of the conference, I went back to Nsukka and I continued my graduate studies and my undergraduate studies. I needed to finish and graduate. So in 2022, in 2022, in 2022, I was to attend LSA again, right? The first one was I attended CBAC in 2020, guys remember. In 2021, I attended my first LSA. In 2022, I attended my second LSA. So it was in that second LSA, 2022 LSA, because I already volunteered. So I met Professor Sahid, who were already doing things academically together that would eventually make him to write his recommendation letter for me as a student that he knows his academic abilities, and also as an LSA member and as an LSA volunteer. These things were already building. I didn't even realize it. I was just doing all these things because my mentors were saying, do this, and I would do this. It was me obeying the instructions from my mentors, not me chasing graduate school. I would say that. So when it was after I finished meeting these people in that LSA, I started to think that, okay, I can be like these people. So fast forward to 2022, I wrote an abstract again that would eventually take me to Lagos again for the conference. So in 2022 LSA conference, I met more people. I met my friends, I met my lecturers, my professors, I met all of them. Was it even in 2022? No, it wasn't in 2022, guys. It was still in that 2021, I would say. It was in that 2021 that I realized I was supposed to apply because of the experience I had in LSA as a volunteer. So I started, my mentors are like, okay, you are going to apply for graduate school, because this my lecturer that I told you is a very disciplined lecturer that started my journey, without me knowing. At that point, he was also he wanted to travel abroad because he already finished his master's from Nigeria and needed to go to the US for his PhD. So, because my relationship with him, guys, relationship is very important. Please, it is very important. Begin now to understand the kind of people you have in your life. I'm not advising you, but I'm just saying how it has helped me. So, in that 2022, I'm misplacing these things, but just to get what I'm saying, in that 2022, he was already applying to travel to the States for his PhD. And he called me. He was like, why not come? Because at this point, I was still in my third year. I had already finished my third year and I was about to start final year, but we had strike. So the whole thing was just sluggish. So he was like, while I'm applying for my PhD in the States, I think it is best you learn how to do this so that eventually when you graduate or when you think you are ready, you can do it on your own. Because at that point, God willing, I might not be in Nigeria again and I might not be able to help you directly if I'm here with you. So when he told me that, I had so many doubts. Oh, can I even do this? I mean, I had just had third year. I just had my third year, right? He was like, look at the website. These schools, you can apply even as a final year student. I still wasn't coming forth. He pushed me, and I eventually tried it. I gave it my all. I wrote a statement of purpose. We started bringing out recommendation. I said, my CV, I don't have anything in CV. He said, we sat down one day together. I started listing all the things that I've done. Guys, that was where my conferences started coming in. That was where my volunteerism started coming in. That was where, in fact, a lot of things that I didn't know that would come to become something that I will use so quickly, all of them started coming in. At the end of the day, I had like over 3 pages CV as a third year student. How that happened, I didn't know. But it was me taking instructions from people that I respect so much as mentors, because God really blessed me with these people. So when we put all these things together, I had a CV. I had a CV that my professors can use to write the recommendation letters for me. I met 3 of my professors who I was also doing well in their classes, and they were more than happy to write a recommendation letter for me. And so he told me, my mentor said, let's apply so that you will see how it is. If you get it, good job. If you don't get it, rejection is part of the process. But we have to do this. So he encouraged me. I put those things together. I would always go to his house because I was staying like a mile away from his house or 2 miles away. I would always go to his house almost every weekend. We were writing, we were reviewing applications, visiting school websites, everything, checking the one that would suit me because of my level at that point. And eventually, I think the deadline, my school's deadline, I think around that time, it was maybe January 10th or something. But I remember I submitted my application December 15th. Yes. So we eventually submitted. Guys, we submitted though. And I didn't mention that that's my other mentor, the doc that he introduced me to, wrote my recommendation letters. Two other of my professors in the department wrote my recommendation letters as well, and we submitted the application. Of course, he also submitted this, but for me, he's qualified because me, I'm still in third year. What do I know, right? So, and admissions decisions were to be made the following year, the first quarter of the following year, being 2022. Yes, being 2022, because I made this application actually in 2021, my first attempt. So in 2022, March arrived and I got admission. And I said initially at the beginning of this video that I got my admission even before I wrote my first semester exam. It was actually before I started. I think it was actually before my first lecture, because strike came again and we spent 8 months. So that means I was supposed to start final year first semester January, but because of the strike that eventually came around in March or something, I've not even written exam, and I already have this admission with my first year to third year results. Now the question is, how did I get my transcript, right? I put my transcript together. My school, my department have is it graduates? Oh God, academic staff advisor, something like that. Yes, these are people that are in charge of results, right? This, my mentor helped me to meet the person in charge. We collated my results, because what at that point of application, all that was needed was unofficial transcript. Is when you eventually get admitted that you would submit your official transcript, which your school will send directly to the school that has admitted you. So we put my transcript together, first year to third year, we put them together. Hadn't signed the department stamp on it, and I used it for my application. So I had my SOP, I had my recommendation letters, and my writing sample. Yes, because of these people in my life, because of these my mentors, in my third year, I already published, I co-authored the paper with them, with their help, with their resources, without me even paying a dime. All that was needed for me was to contribute in the little way I could. And these people, I got published in an impact factor journal, and that was what I used as my writing sample. So in third year, these things were already built. I didn't plan them. It was me taking instructions. Yeah. And then we put all these things together. And then in March, the admission came. Hello, Sochima. Congratulations. This. It felt like it wasn't true. And I was to resume in August. But one thing I need to mention is, when this scholarship came, or when my admission came, it didn't come with funding, right? So the department was still to consider me for funding, right? So this is not a story where I'm talking about my mentor. So his own academic journey is different. So I'm not here to tell you how his own went. Of course, it went well, but this is about me. So I was to finish, because at that time I was still in final year, first semester. I was afraid, will I be able to finish before August to go to the US to start my master's immediately in August 2022? How am I going to do this? As the strike came and took us 8 months, I did not leave for the US in 2022, and I did not also get my funding in 2022, but I had my admission in 2022, and I was potentially ready for the funding, which the department was willing to give if the resources was available, right? So I quickly wrote to the department. I explained I haven't graduated yet. They know, of course, they saw my materials, so they weren't it wasn't a mistake. They know the potentials they have seen. Yes, flatter. So I wrote to them. They were like, okay, your admission is valid for 1 year. So that means I still have from August 2022 to August 2023 to be in the US, after which the admission will be terminated if I don't take that opportunity. So I relaxed, my brothers and my sister. 8-month strike, what would I have done? I wasn't the only one delayed. Everybody were delayed. So I started doing other things together. LSA came up again. I volunteered. I volunteered in LSA again. I met Professor Sahid again. I spoke to him. So in September, I was preparing again to start applying for graduate studies against 2023 intake. I already have this one in 2022, but because of the strike, I couldn't go. And of course, the funding as well. So in that September, I was to apply to other schools. So I applied, and the people already met Professor Saeed. I told him my dream, and he was like, this is valid. And he also wrote a recommendation letter for me, because based on what my academics prowess and the things I've done as a guys, you see, volunteerism is very important. It's just a way to give back to the society without gaining anything monetary, especially when you don't have to be paid for it. But trust me, when it's time for that to speak for you, you will be so amazed with what you have done for yourself. So in that 2022, I started to look for ways to package myself more, because now it's going to be more competitive for me. I currently, okay, then I registered. I think I applied for one UN internship, yes, because at that point I became a fellow, Climate Actors Acceleration Program. I became a fellow with the United Nations on environment. We went to the markets, we went to schools to educate primary school pupils and secondary school students on environmental protection. We went to the market, we cleaned the market. I still have the pictures on my phone, all those experiences. These are the things I was doing outside academics to package myself, because at that point I was now intentional to do things. LSA, I went LSA. Then in 2022 again, there was something that happened in my life that now set the pace. It was a milestone. In July, when we are still on strike, so a call for paper came out for a fully funded conference on technology and material culture in African history. Wow, this is already too much, but guys, this story is so dear to me. So this is the first, apparently this is the first conference on technology to trace the history of technology, or to rewrite the history of technology in Africa. It was the first conference that I would be attending outside the country if eventually I was accepted. My mentors came for me again. We put things together. I wrote an abstract. They helped me to look at it. At the end of the day, we submitted. Guys, I think it was on first week of September. The announcement came out. I won the conference with another of my mentor in the department. All of us joined together. Our flight tickets was paid, fully funded, feeding everything from Nigeria to Abuja, from Abuja to Tanzania. And in Tanzania, we had the amazing experience. In Tanzania, I met other scholars. I met other scholars from UK, from the United States, from Asia, from Cameroon, from Togo, different. I met Professor Gabriel Hedge. I met so many professors in the conference in Tanzania. So that was where, and also in Tanzania, I was also the youngest presenter, or the youngest participant in that conference. In fact, when I finished, because I presented a paper on Able Boy apprenticeship system, right? So when I finished presenting that paper, a professor called me he was like, which school did you gain your PhD? I said, Prof, I'm still in final year. As a matter of fact, we are on strike, so I'm not even fully in final year. And the professor was so amazed. He took a picture with me. He said when he goes back to Cameroon, he's going to show his student, this young man that he met in Tanzania. At that point, I was like, oh, that means all these things I'm doing is beginning to pay off small. So conference helped me to network. LSA helped me to meet people. The conference on technology in Tanzania helped me to meet people as well. And guys, the background where I come from, like my family pedigree, if you understand that, or if you know that, for those of you that know me, that movement to Tanzania was it was like to break the status quo. Like, it broke boundaries for me. I began to see the world differently, thanks to my mentors, thanks to the pushing, thanks to the constant pushing, and thanks to myself for making that initial movement in the beginning without knowing that these things will eventually play out like this, right? So in Tanzania, I met scholars. I shared my research with them. I shared my experiences with them. And these people gave me their content. Until today, we are still communicating. The communication is seamless. It's effortless, because they have met me in person, and they also know what I'm also doing. So we went to Tanzania in January 2023. Such an amazing experience. So guys, I'm running fast. In 2022, when I got this Tanzania trip. So I was applying to undergraduate school, like I already said. I wrote to my department in the place that currently I'm a student. I reached out to them again about concerning the funding, and the department said, oh, that they are more than happy to consider me for funding, and they told me what to do: put together or send us updated version of your application materials, because guys, this is our standard in this place. They don't make mistake. You have to be equal to the task. They need to see that potential in you for them to invest that amount in you, right? My mentors were at it again. We came together. They said I should send one document, but trust us now, Nigeria they carry last. we put everything together. Put my SOP, we wrote my SOP, updated it, put my guy in Cornell. In fact, he dissected my SOP. We finished everything. My mentors, everybody came together. Professor Sahid wrote recommendation in addendum to the ones I already have. And ma'am, it happened. And I'm here in the States. My funding came, preparation started. In the beginning, it was as if it was never going to happen. And yes, I remember also in January, I was supposed to be in Germany for a conference. I also won, but something happened. The funding didn't come again, so I didn't go for that one. Of course, rejections were also in the process, but this one is about my success. So after that, when I think I was around in February, it wasn't clear if I was coming to US, but in April it became clear. My funding came fully funded, and everything came. Fast forward, visa, fast forward, my DS-160, my service, everything for my 20, the whole thing started coming with speed. My mentors are so happy. We are all excited. These whole things have finally paid off. This whole, waking up every day in the night to do things, the conferences, the sacrifices, the volunteerism, everything began to pay off. Fast forward, they trained me for US visa interview. These people still organized the US visa interview to train me. Oof. At this point, I will have to mention their names. But I don't want to mention their name because I don't want you guys to get disturbed. They are so special to me. I don't want people to give them a headache. So, but if you need their names, come to my DM. Or come to the comment section. We'll talk about that. So they trained me for US visa interview. I appeared at the consulate. I got my visa, and boom, I'm in the US. So guys, this is the trajectory. This is the things that helped me. These are the things that these people helped me. So that eventually brought me to the States. So guys, no organization sponsored my scholarship for people that have been asking me and I haven't been answering, and you feel like, oh, I have an information and I'm hiding it, or I don't want to help you. Of course, I'm not supposed to be bothered with what people are thinking, but hello, I'm creating a safe space on Real Talk with Sochi, and it's about coming together to build ourselves, right? So you all have heard it. If you did not learn anything from this, my story today, please learn mentorship, 1, learn friendship, 2, the people in your life matters a lot. They matter a lot. Please hold them dear. Like, humility is all. The way I was talking about me and my mentors is as if everything was just smooth. At some point, it was tough for me because they weren't taking it easy with me. It wasn't easy. They were pushing me so hard that I didn't know I could handle. So it wasn't even rosy. Especially when you write something and they cancel everything. The whole thing is traumatic and is demoralizing. It's even enough for me not to continue. But they persisted, right? Even when they were talking here, I was talking modeling. My mentor would talk academics, I was talking film. He would talk academics, I was talking pageantry. All those things, I'm here in the States and everything is beginning to make sense. Trust me, not all those my dreams, have never lost them. They are still there. And if you understand what I'm currently working on, you will see how those things are becoming clearer and how I'm now fitting it into my academics and everything is becoming beautiful. So this is me saying mentorship is very important. The people in your life, ask questions, guys. Let me not forget, Google is your best friend. YouTube is another university that is bigger than all the universities joined together in terms of population and in terms of the things that you can get there freely. Use YouTube, watch videos, anything you want, they are there. It's going to help you a lot. Mentorship, and also, let me give you this tip. Gone are those days where people will get admission. You get admitted as an undergraduate student in a department and you'll be like, oh, I'm just here to get my degree and go. It's a lie. You need your lecturers. You need to cultivate that relationship with them. You need to start in time. My own, I started in time, but I wasn't intentional. I didn't know. I knew that I wanted to read and pass with their help, when they teach me the writing skill. But if you're intentional now, I don't know who will be listening to this, if you're in final year or if you're in first year, this is the time. Cultivate this relationship with your mentors, with your lecturers. They know the students who are willing to work. And when you come to them, they are more than welcome, more than open to welcome you. Please stick with them, do what they do, ask them about conferences. Guys, I can't emphasize on the importance of conferences. These are places you meet people, big people in that field that you are looking for, or that can connect to the people that you are looking for. So conferences are important. And if you don't ask questions, if you don't align yourself with your professors, if you're always running away from them, trust me, there is no way you will know all this. So guys, these are the things that together helped me to be here. And this is not the end. We are also going places. And trust me, the same thing that I did without knowing, and I eventually knew, and I started working. Now I'm aware, I'm becoming more intentional for the next journey, for the other things that are the other places I'm going to. So guys, thank you for listening to me. Share your comments, ask me questions, drop everything you want in the comment section, and I'm more than welcome to help you. And I will say thank you so much for joining me on Real Talk with Sachi. I love you all. You all are my besties. Thank you. I hope my story, I've told these stories so much, but this is the first time I'm officially telling it. And I hope that this would inspire someone. Thank you so much, and bye.